Welcome to the Teacher's Toolkit for Literacy, the free podcast for motivated teachers and school leaders who want to inspire their students and school community in literacy learning. Make sure you subscribe to the show on your favourite podcast player, and for more amazing literacy resources, check out the show notes provided with every episode.
Hi, I'm Sharon, and I'm the host of A Teacher's Toolkit for Literacy. In every Toolkit episode, we bring you specific resources, tools, strategies, tips, techniques to help you in your job as a teacher of literacy. Firstly, we acknowledge and pay our respects to the Kaurna people, the traditional custodians whose ancestral lands we gather on. We acknowledge the deep feelings of attachment and relationship of the Kaurna people to country, and we respect and value their past, present and ongoing connection to the land and cultural beliefs. And welcome, Phil.
Thanks, Sharon, and welcome back to part 2 of our podcast. Enjoy. So, Rob, with a school you might have a few teachers listening to our podcast and changing, and you might have teachers that are not, or you might have a whole school that is, gone down the program track. What are ways that a school leader could start to bring in changes? That's another big question.
That's
Sorry, Rob. Go and get another coffee, but
change is
hard.
Change is hard.
Yeah,
change is hard for departments. Very interesting watching what's happening in your own state of South Australia, Phil. It's to see the turnaround in the beliefs about and the philosophy about effective maths teaching flip over from what it was to what it now wants to be, and couldn't be more heartening. I think that's fabulous. So it's.
That's good. So you're seeing some good positive changes in South Australia?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes. Yes, it's extremely heartening, and after years of direct instruction, explicit teaching approach, and finding, look, that really didn't work.
Yep.
And on top of it, we've got disengaged kids who are giving us discipline issues. We need to rethink this. I think that's fabulous.
That's great that they're rethinking and re-looking at that. That's fantastic. Yeah.
So how does the school bring in change? First, it recognises where perhaps the direction of the state is. Having said that, the direction is gone the other way in Victoria. Well, how do you actually try and find some middle ground, some compromise? Because just schools, departments, the whole Australian set up, the ACARA, should look at that. We know the proficiencies are there, and they're real. Bring them in closer. And third time we're going to be saying it, Phil, audit the stuff that you're giving kids against the proficiencies and see if those tasks, those worksheets stack up. So, and where they do them. Where they don't, you need to find an alternative. And finding the alternative, I don't mean that to be good luck with that. I mean they are out there. There's good stuff online. There's some really good websites. I've got heaps of stuff online. Michael Minnis has got heaps of stuff on his. New Zealand Maths and Richie Madge. There's some really good sites. There's some good resources if you still like to be able to touch and feel a book. There's some really good resources I can recommend. So it's not like, I've just left that floating in the air. No, you actually, if you want to implement rich, engaging tasks, and perhaps the bulk of those, whether you think that's 51% or 70% or whatever, it should be open-ended. I can certainly help schools and individuals, but you need a good maths person. You need a good maths person who are ready to drive some change through in a supportive way, not in a charging rhino way, but to just say, look, let's start changing.
Yeah, let's be real. Let's look at what we can do. Who can lead this? I suppose the school could look at that. And what are the resources? Your website's fantastic. I show it to teachers when I'm with them in schools, and they think all their Christmases have come at once when they see your website, Rob.
There's a lot of freebies on there, and anything that's not on there, I'm so happy to take emails and requests from people. It's ec@bigpond.com. Just say, here I am, I'm a teacher of grade 3, 4, I'm here at this school. I'd like to get some engaging tasks for area and perimeter or multiplication and division or 2D shapes. Or, fine, I can help you with that. I'd just love to see teaching and lessons and planning that actually has an awareness of the 4 proficiencies, and really look at your activities and do they stack up against the proficiencies? Because if you take this through to another level, Phil, the employers of the world are not looking at your enter scores. They're not looking at your test results from the NAP plan. They're not looking at that. They're looking for kids who are good communicators, or prospective, not so much kids, but prospective employees who are good communicators, who are problem solvers, who are logical thinkers, who are collaborative thinkers, who are creative thinkers. That's the sort of people that employers want, and they're the sort of skills they're looking for in the employees. They're not looking at your test score. They want people who add, and that's the proficiencies. You can develop those: creativity, logical thinking, collaboration, creativity. They're all through the proficiencies. No, but that's so far away from my day-to-day work with my grade 4s. But that's the end. The end goal is that if we're getting kids ready for life and work, well, then we need to do the right thing by them, because employers are not looking at the test scores. They're looking for those skills that I've just mentioned.
And also our country is a lot smarter as a whole country competing with other countries,
Yes, yes.
You might have a whole country that's believes in worksheets for their kids. Well, they're not going to get far. Well, as far as a country that looks at the proficiencies. Now, Rob, with really early years kids and then older kids going into high school, I think you mentioned a little bit about this, but still relevant to have the proficiencies right the way through from the early age right through to the older ones.
Give you an example, Phil, but this is this was actually down your way, Noarlunga Downs Primary School, and I was working with the prep 1s, 2s, so they've got the work cut out in front of them. But I've done this before just with preps alone, as in, that's a range, a real cohort range there. They're great kids, really good teachers. And I gave them the 3-cookie challenge, and that's where I just draw 3 cookies on the board and draw a non-binary stick figure. I don't say anything. And just say there's 3 cookies on the whiteboard or the smart board if you're drawing it on that, and a non-binary stick figure. And I just look at the kids, and one said, that dude gets all 3 of the cookies. So I just record the equation. Said, yep, that's right. So there's 3 divided by, and I show them the sim, put in the keywords. That means share, means divide by 1, gets all 3 cookies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I draw another stick figure and don't say anything. And the kids, they each get a cookie, and there's a cookie left over. And then somebody said, well, you don't want to have a cookie just sitting there. So without doubt, the kid's going, well, that's 1.5. So it was just, so I record that. So 3 cookies divided by 2 people equals 1.5 cookies.
Wow.
Writing the keywords, that's an equation. And, I'm not worried that they don't understand that's an equation. That's my job as a teacher, though, to articulate the maths to encourage their fluency.
Yep.
So the next one's straightforward. I draw another stick figure, 3 non-binary stick figures, 3 cookies, they all get a cookie each. Right. I draw a 4th stick figure, 4 people, still 3 cookies. And I just wait. And I've never had a foundation kid. Of course, somebody solved it in this prep 1 too, and realised, okay, if you cut them up like this, everybody gets 3 out of the 4 pieces for each cookie. I've had actually different explanations that are even better. And they always will get, well, nobody gets a whole cookie anymore. You get 3/4 of a cookie. Now that's
amazing. That's amazing. You're doing fractions in prep.
Yes.
Robbie,
you're not.
But Rob, you're not allowed to do that. You're not. That's fractions is later, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's just, don't start me on who the knucklehead were that take a half and data out of the prep curriculum like it's fair dinkum. People have never been in a prep classroom or a foundation classroom in their lives. They're really I can't get over how poor, how low the expectation is of our 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. They are so capable, and we give them dribble.
Yep.
But that's the three cookie challenge. Just an example of start this stuff young, like you are. Actually, your understanding and your problem solving and your reasoning is in that little problem is just incredible. Now, that's not an individualised task. Let me just say that I do that as a warm up, so it's a collective thing with the kids in front of me looking at the whiteboard. So it's I do a variation of that where it's individualised and I take them through the problem solving strategies. But this is no, so I'm not saying that every kid in that room understood what was happening in there, but there's always a kid who solves that problem, at least one. And then my job is to record how they did it on the board. Sometimes they come out and cut up the cookies, and so
for all kids, you're really opening up the richness of maths to all of them. It's like a read aloud in literacy where we give them a high quality text and they can all understand it. They can't read it, a lot of them, but they can understand it and they think it's just amazing. What's the concepts that are going on in that read aloud? Same here. You're exposing them to something really high quality, and all of them have access to it. And so you're not holding...
They don't all have to be doing it, Phil. It's exactly it. I might have only had 2 or 3 kids tops engaged in that last one where they had to divide the 3 cookies between 4. But I've got every kid watching. I've got every kid engaged, even though not every kid might be involved.
Yep.
And they're going, well, wow, that is so good. Yeah, I love it. Oh, look what Leisha's done. You know, it's so probably a question you'll ask at some stage, but what is blocking, and it differs from state to state, but what is blocking the development and the increased awareness of the planning for the proficiencies are some of the current approaches that are coming out. And I can't understand why systems or individual aren't sort of questioned or brought to task about just saying, well, explain to me how this applies to how the proficiencies are developed through this approach, where the teacher lectures the kids and then gives them a PowerPoint. Oh my God, teaching is death by PowerPoint, or some worksheets to now work through to see if you understood what I just lectured you about.
Yep.
One, lecturing is so much research to say it's ineffective. It's actually a highly ineffectual way to teach a human anything is to lecture at them.
Yep.
I've never met many people who enjoy being lectured at. But I think what's blocking the development of the proficiencies is the approach that some states have taken up about with this rigid definition of explicit teaching or direct instruction. And because, look, you can do explicit teaching with one-on-one. That's where it's the most impactful. But you set the kids off to a task, because when you start with a lecture, you're actually saying, well, you won't know anything until I tell you. Well, that's not right. The kids know so much. We overuse worksheets. We overuse PowerPoints. Are just like, I don't get it that we're all conscious that there's too much screen time, and then we have kids sitting in front of the PowerPoints for the next 20 minutes, or and you talk to a PowerPoint like it's just I don't understand it.
I must point people in the direction of a new TV series out on Netflix at the moment called Adolescence.
Look, we're about to start it here at home, and it's. I've spoken to so many people just say it's hard viewing, but it's a must watch. So
it's really hard, and it's about that social media thing, and but also one of the episodes is mostly based in a school in England, and you see a whole lot of practices and things that you're seeing worst case scenario, but honestly, there are things that are going on there that are going on. We just hope for. Better direction so that we don't overuse PowerPoints or YouTube or...
Actually, just listen to them there. Twinkle, YouTube, PowerPoints, it's the death of maths. It's because it also encourages you just to look at a topic by topic, yet everything is connected in maths.
I know people listening to this podcast are probably invariably the ones who really want to improve their maths and figure out a different way. I know I did as a young teacher. I was always looking for a better way, and I didn't always have the right PD around me to show me the best direction or the best resources. You'd go off and
you reached in the dark. You
Yep.
reached in the dark
Yeah.
for things.
I was
And then,
out.
that was a winner, or that wasn't.
Yeah.
And you step. That's a step backwards. But the stuff is out there. There are alternatives if you want to change, and if you realise that there's a lack of motivation, there's no productive disposition. I'm not hitting the proficiencies. I've got discipline issues in my behavioural issues in my classroom. Look at what you're teaching. Look at how you're teaching. The solution isn't complex, as in you need to find them, you need to do the planning to incorporate them, but rich, engaging tasks are the gift. They are the thing. They are simply the thing.
And they're there. Like it's
Yes.
like in literacy.
You don't have to invent them. Well, you can. You invented one before, Phil, when you said 12 plus 13 is 25.
Yeah.
And I just said, well, that's a closed problem. Let's flip that baby around. Let's start with the answer. 25 is the answer. What two numbers can I add to get there?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that's gone from, oh, that is so boring, to, well, okay, you got me thinking here.
Yeah.
Okay. And it actually stacks up against the proficiencies.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
It's across the board. It's, we really run the risk of a disengaged generation, and that's disaster for a school and a system. If you've got disengaged kids in maths and disengaged kids in literacy, we've got major issues. I reckon 90% of the time it's boredom. I know what I was like as a bored kid at primary school or high school. I was trouble on a stick because I felt compelled to amuse myself because it was the teaching was so boring.
Yeah.
But then when it wasn't, I was a highly engaged kid.
Yeah.
And I had the teacher doing great tasks. I was in. You got me.
And in your schooling, you always came across at least one or two across a few years that you just always remember them as the outstanding teacher, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And so I was an engaged kid, and so I was no trouble at all. I was the opposite, as in, I wanted to answer questions, and I wanted to be involved. I wanted to produce good. I had a productive disposition because I was engaged.
Yep.
And that productive disposition, that wraps around the other ones that are all wrapped around each other anyway. So if you think of it as like a vine that has the sort of growth going upwards of fluency, reasoning, understanding, and problem solving, and then wrapping around all those vines is a productive disposition. It's actually not my image, but it's one that was produced in prime number over here in Victoria, which is our Maths Association produces it, but it was a good diagram.
So a young teacher coming out of university now, have they got some things up their sleeve that they can start with, or is it mostly learned on the job as they're teaching?
Learned on the job. It's
even when we went to teachers' college, we it wasn't really till you got out into the workforce that you really started to have opportunities to learn. But then again, you do need to go to the right PD, don't you? Right resources.
You've got to be pointed in the right direction. So it's not that universities could ever do, even the best of people in universities still can't prepare you. It's like my daughter just having the baby. Nothing can prepare you for that. No amount of knowledge or talking to you, even shared experiences might help, but there's still nothing prepares you for it. So, I think as soon as we understand that schools, individual teachers, systems start seeing the proficiencies as the things, they're not just the bit of mayo that you put on your maths salad. That they are the salad. I think that's where we've got to start to look at the proficiencies as saying they are the thing. And like I said, I think it's the fourth time now. Look at your tasks, audit back against them, and really look at your questioning. It's why, how, where's your proof, where's your evidence? And that sort of, they're still questions, but they can be a statement. I want to see your evidence. I want to see your proof. And start that very young, those words. Where's your proof? Where's your evidence? And it also, that curtails a lot of stuff that teachers let kids get away with. Like, I just did it in my head. Where's your proof? where's your evidence?
Yeah, yeah.
So, because that gets back to reasoning and fluency and the whole lot. So, if there's a consistency about that questioning, getting your keywords up, but getting kids into rich tasks that audit well against those proficiencies.
Yeah, and also it's your assessment then improves. You're not just giving them a test. So it's kind of an assessment thing, isn't it, as well?
Absolutely. You actually, through anecdotal observations, but even more so through samples of work, where you've set a rich task, you're going to have a rich sample of work. And your annotation could include mathematical things. Yes, Locke has an understanding of equivalence, is able to simplify that fractions, decimals, percentages task. But I also see examples of reasoning here. I see the kid has an understanding because they were able to realise that 0.4 was the same as 2/5. When they added this and this, and that in turn shows me that their problem-solving skills are good because they were applying knowledge that we'd gained from another task about equivalence to this task. Like it'll be there. So it's
probably
the
something.
richer the task, the better the assessment.
Probably something that NAPLAN will always struggle to be able to do, being a snapshot in time of where a kid is. It's not really about a snapshot in time. It's about ongoing, how they're going with the task that they're... And you need a lot more time. You can't just do that in sitting down for an hour answering questions, can you?
No, it's ACARA trying to include questions into the NAPLAN testing that actually says, oh, look, this answer is reflective of reasoning and understanding, but that's a long way for them to go. But if ACARA could improve the status or make people more aware of the significance and the status or the status, depending on which state you're in, of the proficiencies, that would help.
Yes.
And schools and systems to say, hold on, we need to be conscious of these things.
Yeah. There's so much more that we're assessing of kids, so much more.
Yeah. Yes, we are. Yes, we really are.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to help out directly through email or through my website, but there's a lot of good sources out there to gain and access rich, engaging tasks. Not all of them which have to be open; they just have to be rich and engaging. But where they're open, fantastic. You're going to get more assessment information. You're going to get more encouragement of the proficiencies. And you're going to cater for the range of abilities in your classroom. But please don't see them as Mickey Mouse things. The proficiencies, to me, honestly, they are the thing. And we should be using the content in all our areas, number and algebra, geometry, the stats and prob, to be getting at those 4 proficiencies.
And I might just add, Rob, that on your website, people can see some online workshops that you're running this year.
Oh, thank you. I didn't want to flog that, but at the moment we're running webinars on each of the 4 proficiencies. We've had our first one. There's still 3 to go, and we're trying to, as usual, make those very practical with activities that just say, look, these really develop, encourage, demonstrate the proficiencies, and of course we do a bit of background on each proficiency, what it actually means.
Yeah, I can see you've had one in February on reasoning, and then...
was reasoning the first one, yes.
Yeah, and May the 13th on fluency, and then August the 4th on problem solving, and October the 14th on understanding. But each one, the content in each one of those is different. So the one in May is on addition and subtraction, and the proficiency is fluency. And August, multiplicative thinking.
Yep.
Anyway, and then that's got problem solving, and then fractional thinking, understanding. Yeah. So
and we're at pains to say we're only using those topics as a vehicle, but they're all in each. Even the one we did, the first one on reasoning, like the tasks we chose, they had understanding in them, they had problem solving in them, they had fluency.
Yeah.
We're just trying to isolate them so we can do a deeper sort of dive into each one of the proficiencies.
So
through the content.
So that's good way to end up because people can go to those webinars this year, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And can
sign up to Eventbrite, or I can let me know by email. I can invoice the school directly if you prefer that. But we're getting good numbers, and it's great. So there's an interest in the proficiencies. We just need to bring them closer to home.
Can they go back to one that's been done? And
yeah. We can send out. We can get you a recording. Yep.
And thanks, Rob. Thanks for being with us today. It was really great to have a really valuable insight into all the proficiencies, and touch base with you again because it's been quite a while since we've had you on.
It has. Too long, Phil, but it's lovely to have a chat to you again.
And I'm sure lots of teachers will get a lot out of today, but there are lots of resources to go to if you need to go further, which I'm sure there would be people that want to get into this in a much deeper way and improve their maths teaching. Yeah.
Yep. Very happy for those people to make contact directly, or like I said, use the website. But if you'd like to direct, it's a thing. This awareness of anything in maths, but the proficiencies, I rate them as that thing. So
yeah. And all the best with grandparenthood.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you very much, PC.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Rob. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone, and bye for now.
Thank you, Phil. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. To make sure you don't miss any literacy learning tips and insights, please subscribe to our show on your favourite podcast player. At Q Learning, our literacy specialists draw on over 30 years of teaching and international consulting experience to deliver world-class learning solutions. We equip, empower and support teachers to become their authentic selves. To find out about upcoming webinars and about how Q can help you and your school, visit qlearning.com.au. And you can get even more amazing teaching resources right now at teachific.com.au. Stay tuned.